a recap on Team Rainbow Strike Go's NGS Season 12 season. It's kind of interesting. You can kind of see our final placement and ranking. And just so you know, we're in C West, and my goodness, it has got quite competitive, which is amazing for this game, just because there's more people that are playing, but there's just a lot of good people. I kind of we had some roster changes, and I actually did a video after our season for season 11, and we fell short in round one. We had high expectations for ourselves last season because we were defending champions, and I don't remember what rank we were. I think it was maybe fourth or fifth. I can't remember. And as you can see, we didn't really place too far from that this season. Um, but I just wanted to give kind of like my thoughts on, just kind of how it went. I guess what challenges I foresaw before the season started, um, and then really just applauding our division because they are good now. I don't know if you've played NGS. If you haven't, I recommend that you take a look. Maybe hit me up, or if you have questions, if you have no idea what all this is about. But as you can tell, I mean, this is just an amateur division. You can kind of see all the divisions here. Um, from the top of Storm all the way to Division E. And it wasn't that long ago when we only had, I think, maybe one division above A, and then it stopped at D, and there wasn't that many teams there. Now you can see like the East has in two different brackets. They have like two East divisions with full teams in there, and we've been in C West for a majority of it. We played Heroes Lounge for a lot, actually, more than NGS at first, and eventually just transitioned over because there was um, just a lot of quality of life things that made it easier for us to schedule games, and we had a little bit more control, especially if we made playoffs and went to the finals, things like that. But Heroes Lounge isn't offered anymore in the United States, only in Europe, unfortunately. But yeah, just going on reflecting on my season. So going into the season, we've played a lot of these teams before, but if we didn't play them, I was aware of them. And I remember thinking, sheesh, a lot of these guys were playoff contenders. So, like, I think with the exception, like the last three, we have our sister team, the Knights, Team Rainbow Strike Go Knights. They placed a lot lower than I thought they would. Honestly, um, they had some good coaches, and I think they just had maybe some attendance challenges, but I don't know. Maybe they're going to Division D next season. I'm not sure, but I thought they'd place higher. The Cats on my keyboard, I think they're newer to the scene. Knights that go Bork, same thing. But they were competitive, and usually those teams that have good skill that just don't have a lot of experience together, they tend to ramp up later in the season. And that's exactly what happened. We just got lucky and played those teams at the beginning of the season, which played out record-wise for us. Um, and it's interesting. So you have 9 teams, and you can see the rank 8 seed and the rank 9 seed. They actually tied, but it ended up being, I don't know if it was a head-to-head or exactly how it was figured out, but the Regen Divine team actually ended up going to the playoffs, and Trash Pandas just missed it. So it was unfortunate for them. But I mean, just to kind of give you like an idea, I mean, um, Cool Cats and Kittens, they're usually a top 4 seed most of the time. Like, we actually played them in Div D, and they were good then, and they got even better. I think their coach was like, I don't know if it was or is still Cavalier Guest, and he teaches, or he coaches for, I think it's Oxygen Esports, so the pro team over there for CCL. Can't Connect Stuns is a pretty big org now. They've been doing a lot for player development and just community outreach, and my hat's off to them. They've actually built that organization pretty big at the grassroots scene. And this was just one of their teams, the Can't Connect Stuns. Row One Esports, they've been around a while too. They actually had a lot of Division B experience, and they ended up going to C, I think, last season or 2 seasons ago. I can't remember. Um, but they've been in C for a little bit now. But they're good. I mean, they're good enough to be in B, or they were at one point. And they just had in the past. I think they had some roster like consistency challenges, but I mean the roster this season looks pretty darn good for them. They've been pretty consistent. I think it's probably their best five that they have, and they're actually in the as of today, the 3rd of November, 2021. They're actually in the West playoffs, and they're looking pretty strong. Our div's looking pretty strong to actually win it all. I think usually the East teams beat us. I know when we made a run at it a couple seasons ago, or 3 seasons ago now, maybe, when we went to the finals for Div C, um, like we took it to 4 games or something like that. And Cosmos, I think they were in Div B last season, if I'm not mistaken. So they got a lot of experienced players. Artemis, been great with us too. We've had a lot of battles with them, especially in playoff situations. We had ranked 6, and I'll get back to why I was happy with that. But normally we usually place around 4th or 5th, so it's not too far. We definitely win a lot more games though, traditionally. The season was a little challenging. I'll dive into that in a second. Clouded Minds. We played against their Clouded Minds After Dark team, and they bumped up a division this year. But also their Cloud Minds team was really good. I think they were one of the top teams in Div D last season, so they had a lot of experience and had playoff experience as well. And then the Regen Divine team, they also have a big org like Can't Connect Stunts. I don't know who's bigger now, honestly. But either way, that was kind of the breakdown of what we were going into. So, thanks, honestly. Thanks for filling in. So it's kind of interesting. Our dynamic this season, we were losing, or we lost Kingleberry this season, so that left a solo slot open. We've never really, I think since we've ever existed, we've never really had to play without him. Initially we were on a free agent team, like Artemis actually, and honestly can attest to that. I know a little bit about your backstory there, but yeah, I think they were also like a team that was put together, like just kind of a random team, and they just got along well together, and they've been succeeding ever since they got put together. But kind of the same with us, like we were on some kind of free agent team in Heroes Lounge, and they just kind of grouped people together. And I think there was like, from that, there was like maybe 2 other people I wanted to play with, and that's kind of how Kingle and I got together to form form our team. And I wanted to play with my brother in real life, and then I have another friend that I wanted to play with. So we kind of built it from there, but we've been playing together for a while. So going back to Kingle, he actually probably in our div when he was playing, he was probably one of the best soul laners, and he really carried a lot of what we did. So when he took a season off this last season, I was like, man, how do we feel that? It's like literally probably one of our best skilled players. So I ended up filling the role, and I'm probably the worst on the team. So that was an experiment in itself. And then we had to fill a damage slot, and we just moved too many things around. So I know it's going to be a rocky beginning for us. And for like I think midway in the season, because we had Killer Fry tanking, and it's not that he was a bad tank. I think it's just with what we had, it's just different play styles. Like Killer is more reserved. He's more like a front to back type thing, and we just didn't adjust. Like Styx, who actually is stepping down, so we're not going to have him next season. He's doing more real life stuff with his wife, which is good. I mean, we totally promote the balance for sure. So he's just going to be on sub status indefinitely. Honestly, I don't even know if we're going to play with him. So Styx, if you ever see this dude, it's been a pleasure. Thinking about retiring your jersey, which means I have to create a jersey to retire it, but played with him for a few seasons. Aragon, I just keep it separate. I'm so lame with the editing that I don't know. It's just easier for me to launch it to YouTube later, just for archiving purposes. But yeah, so it was a challenge. We were losing one of our best players, so we literally swapped like 3 different roles, and we did okay. But I know that our difficulty schedule um, was a lot easier at the beginning of the season. And I wanted that to kind of help boost us into the playoffs. And to a sense, I wasn't wrong, really. I mean, there's just so many teams, and I mean, literally from the 1 through 9 slots, any of those teams can beat each other. If one of them has a bad day, the other team can just win. That's how close it is for our skill set or skill level where we're at right now. And also, there's like 3 teams that didn't move up. Like, I think the top 3 teams in our div, which traditionally they move up, I don't know why they didn't, but maybe it just got that much more competition in the higher brackets, just to kind of be a testament with how big it's growing. Or maybe they just didn't want to practice more. I don't know. But either way, it was going to be a rocky road. And I think what ended up happening mid-season is, we played what we did the best that we could. And, I think with switching Silver back to tank and Killer to the damage role, I think that was going to be our best fit for that season, and that's kind of what we did. And we actually trended better. I remember telling them midway, like, I know we'd make the playoffs, but I thought we were going to end up at an 8 seed, honestly. And it was kind of looking that way. And we kind of got a couple breaks near the end of the season. There was some games that we won that I didn't expect to win. With our current roster, there's some games that we ended up splitting where we didn't get blown out 2-0, so it was definitely way better than I projected. Yes, sort of, Aragon. We are setting up a scrim, but it's actually with a different team, so I'm building a 3rd team, so that's what's going on with that. But that's going to be tomorrow for about an hour, maybe, like 3 games or something. But yeah, 100% agree with you. Honestly, it fit a little bit better, like for our play style, a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more confident in our engages. So it's just personnel. I mean, it's really interesting because at this div, it's like it happens so fast. Like I remember tanking one season, like early on, it was like, how hard can this be? And honestly, he's a tank, and actually, Aragon's a tank, so you guys would know what I'm talking about. I don't know if you know, honestly, but Aragon actually did tank at the Storm Division. I think it was Storm Division, right, Aragon? Yeah, it would have been Storm, highest level there. So it just happens so fast. Like, I completely undervalued how hard it would be to tank, and there's so many things to keep track of. But my performance was so amazing, we ended up going down to Div D the next season. So that was my only tanking experience, but it happens a lot faster. If anyone watches this later, it's very, very different than Storm League, and there's really good competition in this division. But just all of the NGS in general. But I guess moving forward into this next season, it's going to be interesting. So we're getting Kingleberry back, which is going to be fantastic. We're losing Styx. I think we have a replacement, but I'm not sure what we're going to do. Like, I got some experience with Soul Lane, and I'm not amazing like Kingle, but Kingle's just an amazing player. I don't know if we're going to move him to damage. I don't know if we're going to move him to Soul Lane, back to Soul Lane, where he's the best at that role. But we're hoping to bring it back next season and come back with a vengeance. But we'll see. I don't know. We're getting old. My hands are getting decrepit. So we'll see actually what happens with that. But that's pretty much it. I think we kind of ended where we thought we would. Oh, I never really told you about the playoffs. Obviously, you two that are watching know what happened, but this is for, I guess, later, if you have no idea what happened. So we did make it to the playoffs. We got swept in the first, not swept. We actually lost in 3 to Roll 1 Esports. They're actually the defending champions of our division, so I don't feel bad about it. Also, we took it to 3. Probably wasn't the best game 3 for us, but we felt like we did have a shot to win. They just played better in that last game. So, oh my goodness, they were so patient. It was crazy. Artemis was represented. They had a good first round too, and they lost Cool Cats Kittens in the second round. But again, if you played any of these teams, the competition was so close for us. It was pretty competitive. So yeah, and they have the game tomorrow actually. Cool Cats Kittens and then Roll 1 Esports play for that I think it's a best of 5 when you get there. It's gonna be a long series, but yeah, honestly, we did, man. We took the first game in that roll one thing. You know what's interesting? Like I've talked with the Rock Your World a few times too. He's a smart dude. Like I don't know like what preparation he does. I probably should spy on his streams. Probably just like how he does in mine. But he adjusts pretty well. I think they have a game plan every single time. They probably have an idea of maps and stuff. But I've never played a team that adjusts as quickly as they do. A lot of times, and we're the kind of the same. It's like a momentum thing. So, you know, if we can take the momentum, usually we can run with it. Or if we strike, we have to strike quickly. But then we've also been blown out too, right? So we're kind of streaky that way. But roll one will kind of adjust. I've noticed maybe they'll lose the first game and then they just shake it off and continue with their plan, and I think they end up winning more 3-game splits in Div C, if I'm not mistaken. He probably actually has the statistics and all that. Actually, if you ask him, I wouldn't be surprised because I don't know, he was tracking all of our scrims as an example. He's like, we beat you X amount of times. I'm surprised you beat us this time. It's like, my goodness, dude. It's like I track stats, but not that heavily. So yeah, hats off to him, and I wish them the best of luck in the playoffs. For tomorrow. But anyway, so that's kind of my recap. And obviously we'll pick up next week with practices, and we'll see what that looks like. We don't have a solid 5th, but I'm pretty confident we'll be able to pick somebody up before the season starts. But anyway, honestly, we got some vengeance and some work to do, right? For next season. Same with you, Aragon. I know your showing wasn't as successful as you wanted because you just missed the playoffs. So, but either way, this will be be fun to look at later, even if I'm the only one that watches it. But yeah, that's pretty much a recap on our season. My thoughts on it. You guys have a good one. I'll be doing some tryouts, probably about an hour. Probably flip on just to do some warm up games, but I'll be back. All right, take it easy.